to our town. Dorothy Thompson speaking to you today from here in front of the Brewer Public Library and under a little rainfall of leaves, a leaf fall of leaves. On the show, well, books is the topic. Lots of books here, and there are lots of books that way over at Ocooch Books and Libations. We'll hear about updates from Ocooch Books and Libations from owner and operator Daniel Miller.
Hello!
This must be a bookstore.
I got arms full, just got 2 deliveries, and children's books and all kinds of different books. Here's an interesting one. Remember David Cooper, the chief down in Madison?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we get a lot of local books, and this is local enough. A lot of the times there are books in here. These are all local authors or nearby local authors. Although this book series takes place in Door County. This is up north in Rhinelander. Jeff Nania grew up in the Greenbush down in Madison and was a cop there for a long time.
He spoke at your Court Street location.
Yes, he did.
And I videoed that. And this one, he spoke over yonder in that corner.
Yes, these are pandemics, so we had those together. So you've been around 3 times. You just missed one. This is a Bad Axe. Of course, that's an old county over on the Bad Axe River that no longer exists. So this author, but he's been around a long time, so he uses that locale. And of course, David Rhodes' Jewelweed, this driftless. I sold out a driftless again. I stack up this high and they go. And then, of course, our Katie Allball, our local
she was here.
Cold Case.
Yep.
But again, a David Rhodes book. This one is an author from Viroqua. I let them cross the Kickapoo.
That's nice.
It's okay these days.
Yeah.
But a lot of the books are, people will come in and they say they're modern classics. I guess that would be true. They are modern classics. But they're all new. A lot of people come in thinking that it's a used bookstore, but we've got the thrift shop next door for that.
Yeah.
So.
And out on 14, there's Goodwill, plenty of books.
Plenty of used books. So we do a lot of books. People don't like to give books as gifts if they're not new. Sometimes it's vintage or whatever. These are graphic novel or graphic books, but they have a lot of writing in them, so it's still a challenge for kids. I have a pediatrician from here in town who buys a lot of books and gives them to his patients, and he's the one who suggests a lot of them. These were his suggestion for keeping them educational. And so graphics are all kinds of books. And anyway, I go do a lot of board books, just a tremendous number of board books.
What's a board book?
Well, that's the baby book, you know. Oh. You can chew on it, and it ain't gonna hurt it too bad. All the corners are rounded, and they're cheap. $7-8. There's one $9.99, but this is a new one. Everywhere Babies. So I constantly get new
they've
ones.
improved the physical quality since I was some adults chew books.
Well, this is a beginner book, very famous, Maurice Sendak. did the very well-known name. But this is a very early reader. It's been around for, oh, I don't know, probably 50 years, something like that. Let's see, this is 1961. But I love the art in these, and I kind of like to sit down and read it
Very
myself.
old-fashioned looking.
Yes, it feels soft. And I think I've been selling this book for 20 years, this one for 20 years. We've been open 21 years. Actually bought the old building in Mary Spidle's. I think we closed on it this week, 21 years ago.
Oh,
So anyway, I'm constantly replacing the books as they run away. This is the children's section, and these are all new titles that just came in. I laid them out just so I could take a look at them. My partner is a speech pathologist, so she's always looking at children's books. And I can't dare leave them.
well, this looks interesting. It
Yes.
looks like it's 100 years old.
Yeah, well, that's one of those ones that made to look like, the dragons books and so forth.
Ooh.
But it's fun. It's fun to get these are brand new too. This is a new one. Dragons love tacos. So again, this was a recommendation from a speech pathologist, and it's so that there's not too much writing on the pages. There's lots to explain. I always liked that when I was little, to explain what was going on by the pictures. And then we have older ones for these go back to when we were kids, and again they're just learning the words according to what's in the house. And some of these Richard Scarry books are also half in Spanish and half in English. So try to do older and newer books, especially in the children's books. This is a good blend. I put the animals in over here along with the rest of the books because these children immediately look at these and want something to look at all the cats and the dogs and the horses and know what kinds they are. Some of these are vintage books that are out of print, but I ordered enough of them and take the slipcovers off them, and they're just the art is different. Now this one is both in English and in Spanish.
Okay.
So we hope for customers like that. Oh, there's the phone. Better.
Okay, we'll take a commercial break.
Notice the art on the wall here. This is all from the Red Door Gallery, and I'm an annex here, but when in the old shop across the street from the Red Door Gallery, I was the key master over there and kept all the keys I still have here, but it's nice to have the art supplied by local artists. And so anytime somebody wants to come in and just look at art, we have a good selection of what the Red Door Gallery has. Kids' books are all over the place, but we kind of start here with the alphabet with the author by author. This is A, B. The reason these get messed up is because everything's on wheels, and if I want to make the place look fresh again, I can just turn the book, somebody walks in the door and they're looking at a whole different supply. This book about Greg Brown, the singer, songwriter, it comes from over in Viroqua too. They're apparently doing their own public. Somebody's horn.
That's not the telephone. We'll keep going pretending like
I'm going to
it's-
close the door.
Are you going to do that? Okay.
Busy street.
It is.
So these are by author alphabetically, except for these get spun around, so it keeps me on my toes.
It's like a game show. You spin
Yeah.
around.
Again, this section is generally nonfiction, World War II, World War II, World War II, World War II. This is an interesting book. They thought they were free. Germany, 33 to 45.
Yes.
So they may not be. This is not a new book, but it is a book that it probably is not on every shelf anymore. But it was new when we opened, and this guy, Kurlansky, picks a subject like cod and then does the history of it. And I love those kinds of things. So again, I try to mix in fiction and nonfiction in the same area, but you can tell this is all nonfiction. Got a little Anthony Bourdain
Yeah, I saw that
up here, and this is a book we've had. It takes place over in Minnesota, but we don't hold it against them.
No, that's
It's-
fine.
And so, yeah, these are. This is a fantasy author from the state of Wisconsin, Patrick Rothfuss. Everybody's waiting for the third book because he doesn't want to reveal it until the movie is made or something to that effect. Now, these are not absolutely current, but they are brand new. This is one of my favorite books. It's the history of London, going back to Londinium when it was Romans. And the way it works is each character is at a certain period, and then everybody dies. Not really, but basically jump into the future, 100 years or even 500 years. And Edward Rutherford, when I was in London, I had the hardcover and sat there on a park bench, and a woman was sitting at another park bench about half a block away, so we walked up to each other. Where are you in the book? But it was fun being in London, reading about the place.
Yeah, and surroundings.
And the surroundings. So if you're going on a trip, like whether it's to Paris or Russia or London or southern England and so forth, these are historic fiction that is fun to read. At the same time, to see the background is great. And that was a great thing for me. This is English language here. This poetry mixed in with King James and religion and anything that's in the writing department. Puzzles, trivia, etc. This is supposed to be for your brain. A lot of people take those on cross-country trips to keep, instead of just reading a book, they quiz the driver. And again, not all of the books are, depending on who it is. This was a woman that came in. She's quite a. This has an allegory. It's not a straight-up Christian book, but it has a Christian allegory to it. Mm-hmm. And I liked the art, and I liked the way it wasn't beating you over the head with it. So if you're looking for books like that, I have quite a few. This is the
Oh, yeah, these are the fun.
nature section.
These I was laughing at.
Yeah,
some of the-
those are the weird cards. One of the funny things about the woman that does these cards is that she was roommates with let's see. I put it over there. There's
Linda Berry. by any
Linda Berry.
chance?
That's, Linda Berry. So it was
Who
just
lived in Richland Center.
who born in Richland
Born in
Center.
Richland
Yeah,
Center,
Linda
okay.
Berry is a famous writer and is a professor in Madison. But we have quite a few of her books too. But it was just one of those weird things. I was on the phone with the woman who does these cards, and I mentioned I was from Richland Center, and she said, my roommate in college was from Richland Center originally, but she was only here for about 3-4 years. Mm-hmm. This is nature, obviously, here. We've got trees and larks, and again, I put some dogs and reptiles and so forth. And some fishing mixed in with it. Also mini farming, a lot of back to the landers again, this round, and people like those kinds. So I stir
Well,
'em.
people are wanting to put chickens on their property.
Exactly.
Within the city limits. And that's, I mean, who wouldn't want
That
fresh
too.
eggs every morning?
That too. So I keep
So-
this up and fresh, new things. This is a local author, and I just sold the last of one of his books. I think he was on WRCO recently.
Oh, yep,
About the beaver.
yep.
And again, we're still in the, this section is hardcover. And then hardcover are always 20% off. That's what ran Borders out of business, so I'm trying to one-up them. But mostly everything here is just not out in paperback yet. And because I get most of my books from Ingram, I can return 10% of them a year. And so that mostly that's the hardcovers that don't get bought. But these are just a blend. And one of the odd things about it maybe is that most of the books come from recommendations from, well, somebody passing through town. I just heard a book on public radio or whatever, and so I get random books. I, of course, hear of them myself, and I get the New York Times book page every week. But tell you the truth, you know, I'm kind of an Anthony Bourdain guy, and so when new books came out about him, I got it. But then one of my main sports characters, you know, that comes in, he wants, anytime a sports figure dies, he wants the biography. And so
Yeah.
I got one for him, and I liked it so well.
That would be a great gift.
And that was, it was just a nice book, and it's on a subject you can read anytime, so that'll be around, and I'll keep getting them as I can. But they're 20% off too. So these are brand new. This is a very well-heeled author with a new subject on the Vietnam women, and then this is another bestseller, Oprah pick. That doesn't stir everybody away from it. But generally, I don't do the number ones, but these are right in. One of my favorite books, read aloud to each other, is Salman Rushdie, Luca and the Fire of Life. My partner and I read this on the phone when she was still working down in Tennessee, and it was one of the best read aloud books that didn't put you to sleep. Mm-hmm. Not right away, anyway. So
He was at Borders Books
yeah.
University, well, they're closed now, of course, but quite a while ago, and I got an autographed copy of
Oh, you did?
The Temptress of something.
Yeah.
I wanted his autograph. I didn't want the book. I'm guilty
You
of.
get that a lot.
Yeah, I did open it and look at it.
Well, we probably are going to have a book signing with Jeff Nania again, because he has another book out, and I always try to get him here, but he's been very popular.
Yep.
And again, another section over here. This would be mostly women writers or women's issues, but there it's everything, but mostly, if not 99%, written by women. And then this is just a hodgepodge of related to Wisconsin things like floods and secrets of trapping. Just any kind of odd thing put together. Other electricities that you never know what it's going to be.
Wow, that's quite a snowstorm.
So we don't do a lot of cookbooks. I just do a lot of vintage cookbooks, and of course Tony's in there. But Mediterranean cookbooks have been hot for years.
Oh, yes.
And then we have journals, and these are all Native American related books. So it might be a children's book that was written about Native American characters. Louise Erdrich, who was one of our authors, she is part Native American, so she does quite a bit Native American. Then we have, like the code readers, kids like these a lot, because code talkers that saved our hides, ironically, were Native Americans. Mm-hmm. And braiding sweetgrass has been a bestseller for, maybe 5-6 years. So not everything is Native American in exactly the same way. The Indian teepee, I had a teepee a couple of times. I have one now. I haven't got poles for it. But this book was the book on teepees back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Well, this looks old.
Yeah, some
The
of them are
font.
vintage. Some of them are vintage, and then some of them are reprinted. But I've got quite a few of different ones that have a different take on it. These people, Reginald Laubin and Gladys Laubin, they took a car and put teepee poles on the top of it and drove across Indian country and collected.
So what is the actual average size of a teepee?
Oh, well, the standard Sioux teepee is 18 feet
Oh.
up the long pole
Oh,
at
yeah.
the door. And it's the circumference can be laid out, but it is generally 18 feet from one side to the other. That's big enough for a family, and you can take the poles, tie them together, and drag them with a horse or whatever to go from camp to camp. Of course, they originally were done with skins, and now it's very good canvas.
Yeah.
During the protests over in the Dakotas, you couldn't find this book. I had 12 copies, and people would come in and say, "Oh my God, that's on Amazon for $150." And I said, "Somebody will find a pile."
Yep.
And they did, etc. So, but the titles vary, and there's also people, Native American writers that are just very well known. So it doesn't just, it's not just barrier-hearted wounded knee or something like that. It goes across the spectrum of writers and so forth. And then, of course, we have the red oak cards, and I think we may have the last of the red oak cards because he's not doing the business anymore, but he brings in and refills.
Ellis Felker.
Yeah, Ellis Felker, Valerie Marchand, and this is Wisconsin Travel, and that goes back to vintage books. If you have one of these and you want to go up Gulf Holler and know who's there, but I've been buying these for people going way back to people who would come in and say, "Can you find one of those for me?" And I'd hunt them down, and sometimes it's just
Robert E. Gard.
people know, that's my farm,
Right.
things like that. There's not as many of those put out these days, but these are older books, and they are a little bit harder to find down Wisconsin side roads, and these were very popular books. But there are new ones now, kind of pricey, but somebody's always putting out a new one, and this one is on the WPA. Norman Ristjord was a professor from UW, very well known. He retired to South Carolina, but he had a cabin up by on Tatter Road up by Hub City, and I got to know him pretty well. So I consider it a local thing, but he's writing about Wisconsin, so there you go. Wisconsin Rustic Roads. Again, this is a very hard book to find. People.
Oh, that's been around forever.
But it forever. This is from the '80s. I know.
Well, that seems forever.
It's just.
Well, who wrote that?
This
Or who
one's
put
got
compiled?
the mix. You see, it's got Ben Logan, George Vukalik. See, I know how to pronounce that.
Oh.
Jean Faraka.
Oh, Gene, Public Radio.
Yeah, she is from New York, but we give her
Yeah.
Bill Stokes. So yeah, people say, "Oh, you do sell used books." Well, actually, these are vintage books that are hard to find. Just even stuff like about Harley Davidson, which is
Yeah.
a Wisconsin thing.
Yep.
Lone Rock, a history. And again, people will go, "Oh, you've got something on Lone Rock," and a lot of times it's people who are just moved there, and rather than the families that are represented in the book. And then we all know some of these are hard to find. But
Oh, we owned that one.
yeah, well, it was on
Everybody
everybody's.
did, yeah.
It was on everybody's coffee table. at one-
to impress the neighbors.
But people come in and say, "Oh, is that real?" And I said, "Well, that's the way it was when I was a kid." I think, what is it now, about $40 to go in there or something like
Oh,
that?
I don't know, but it's been years and it's overwhelming.
Well, the thing about it was, I think when we went through, it was $2. It was like begging people to come into it.
I know.
Sand County Almanac, Leopold, book about Madison. And then you've got August Derleth.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about him. He kind of had this Hardy Boys mystery series, maybe two of them. I don't know.
He was a dime novel writer. He was from the period where, you know, they wrote one a day practically and put them out. August Derleth and who's the guy who's, but anyway, the what do you call them? Pulp fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Pulp fiction writers. And then, you know, just things on lighthouses and Wisconsin lighthouses. And these, The Land Remembers,
Oh, sure.
again, this has been put out in a much cheaper version. This is not the original. The original with this photograph on it was like this. But this was the 25th anniversary. Of course, we had Ben Logan in the store 3 times. And one time with we had him with 2 different writers. I can't remember who.
He
it
taught
was.
a couple classes at UW Richland.
Yeah, well, David Rhodes. We had David Rhodes and Ben Logan at the old shop, and it was the entrance into winter, and we had it on the Saturday after Thanksgiving. And you didn't show up to video.
Yeah, well, when was this? Huh?
Anyway, it was one of those ones that were one of the best get-togethers we ever had over there. But I always collect up these, and I search them out, and you know, and they're getting pricey because they're hard to find in this good a condition.
Yeah.
And many of them are signed copies, but like I say, I've got a pile of them here. But by Christmas they'll all be gone, because what happens is people that are moving out here to their land, this is the Back to the Lander original, the way people lived here from 1910 to 1955 or something like that. So I fit right in there, but it's been read on public radio more than any other book. David Rhodes, The Driftless, is catching up. Again, American Diners, it has lots of Wisconsin ones in it. So this is just a general Lake Michigan travel, like just paddling the Minnesota, paddling northern Wisconsin. And I have to rebuild this every year before Christmas. We have Jerry Apps about the county fairs. So it's a hodgepodge, but you can almost always find a gift here for some Wisconsin. We have a tremendous amount on the Amish, thanks to Carol Stevens. And when she was getting rid of her stuff, she came in and very nicely gave me a bunch of Amish books. And there's another Ben Logan that I still get up for every Christmas season. And this has been put out in 3 different versions, but I like this one. And then the cool thing is, if I get a cover, underneath is just as nice.
It is.
And so you can sell it without the dust cover quite well. And then, of course, we do maps. But these are the best sellers. So you've got all the roads, even the driveways, anything that's a township road.
People still like to have something in their hand
Well,
instead of a tablet.
If you can, your dash is talking to you, and you need to have something to talk it down.
Right.
So I usually have a Michigan, because when you go up to the UP and cross over from Wisconsin, it's like, you know, in a lot of these, it's like, you know, here be giants, you know, on the other side of the border. A lot more people going up to that border these days, I hear, and which is good for tourism on both sides. So you can always get one of these here if they're still available. I order them in mass quantity. I think when I bought this last pile, I got 50 of them, and I'm down to maybe 10. I think there's some more around here somewhere. Looks like I better order some more. So that's just generally going through the books. But on this table over here, I always tell people that the way you get on the table is you get bought, and I reorder it, and it lands over here before it goes onto the shelves.
Okay.
And so it could be anything. Some of my favorite authors passed away and so forth, but very classic science fiction, very classic. Well, actually, some of these are brand new, just fresh off the press.
I know that for some reason.
Well, it's been a popular book recently, and
James Lipton. Okay, yep.
but you'll see mixed in, like for instance, this is one I read. It's about the opioid epidemic, and it takes a town not unlike Richland Center in size and so forth.
Of which there are thousands.
Yes, and this is in Kentucky, right on the tip of Kentucky, on the east tip, and the opioid epidemic was so bad amongst the coal miner areas that there were bad doctors moving there just to write scripts and so forth. Very interesting book.
Wow.
Not fun to read, but you sure get an education from it. Read it. So I have to be I'm a slow reader, and so I have to take my time with them. If you haven't read this one, it's now going to be a movie, and they got the wrong guy for the part, so I'm not going to watch it until later on. But the book should be read before you see the movie. Gentlemen of Moscow. It's a page turner, if you don't know it already. These books right here, if you'll notice, all have Little Paris Bookshop, Welcome to the Bookshop, the Last Booksellers Bookshop. Yeah, these are all Banned Bookshop, Librarian Burn Books, Personal Librarian. And I threw this one in Winchester in here, Meaning of Everything. That's the guy who was in an asylum and basically wrote the Oxford English Dictionary.
So this is, it's fiction?
Yes.
Well, that's good because it'd be burned or something.
Yeah. But it had a whole table of just bookshop titles. It's very easy to just Google it and find them. But these just came in just now, and you can see it gives you a good example of what.
Why, here comes some people. Yes.
Hello. So I'm just putting these away, but on their shelves. But graphic novels have become quite good, but it's a little bit too much for me to follow. I'm not real crazy about it, but the kids who like these really like them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much for the books in the store. You already ran through this with.
Oh yes.
And
I have a question I'm going to try to stump you, but years ago in Madison, a friend of mine had a book. It was a mystery, and it was not really. Anyways, you open it up, and it starts out. It's a murder mystery, and you see an envelope. You open it, and it's written by the deceased before they were deceased, and then you go on to the next clue, and there might be a key in a little slot. Does that kind of a genre ring a bell?
Yeah, they did those. It was kind of dragonology. So these books were put out by retired people with not enough to do.
Okay.
The famous one was on fairies, and they did tried to say that there were actually garden fairies in the books, and they leather bound them and so forth. Later on, people would try to reproduce those, for mass sale. Mm-hmm. But the authors might have only done 10 books, and that sounds like that kind of book.
It was kind of intriguing, though.
You turn the pages, and there's a key, and then there's the next clue,
yeah.
and the next clue.
And then a piece of cloth that was torn as they fled by the barbed wire fence.
I usually have oceanology and these ology books, but right now I think I'm out of them. I think the last one sold last week. But I usually get them in again. I like the ones that are more sciencey or mystery like that.
Or not written by people who have nothing else to do.
You want to call this part one, and then we'll go through the other on another occasion?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Perfect,
Thank
you.
lot.
Okay, we're back at Ocooch Books and Libations. We're going to talk about, we already talked about books, now it is something else.
Libations.
Libations.
They can be anything, liquid. But this is Potosi. Everybody knows Potosi over on the river. But this is an NA, a non-alcoholic beer. I always sounds like the beer is an alcoholic, but this one has 0.5% alcohol. So that's the same thing you would get in anything that needed to have alcohol in it. And it is not enough for anybody to get drunk on. This is just one, and this is a new one. This is a golden ale. And we have, of all things, who thought Guinness would ever be zero?
Yeah, I know.
I mean, the Irish are screaming from their graves. But it's a non-alcoholic draft, and again, it has to be 0.05, less than a percent.
Less than 0.5%.
0.5%. So anyway, so it's just very little alcohol in it, and so can't bother you. Now a lot of people who are on the wagon and so forth go, oh no, it's a gateway or whatever, but actually I see it the other way around. People come in and they can drink this, and it gives them a little placebo effect in that it's something they're familiar with and they like the flavor of. That's how much better it is now than it was. It was awful.
We were talking about O'Doul's, that's been out for at least 20 years, I think.
Oh, I think 30 years, but it was terrible. Here's another one from Deschutes out in Oregon, where is it? In Oregon, Bend, Oregon, and this is one of the favorites around here. I don't know exactly why, but there are a lot of people from out in Oregon there apparently. But I get it. But this is good. I had one last night. I didn't drink the whole thing. It's still got calories in it, but it's got less calories. And so you get 2 for 1. You get to have a beer that tastes like a beer, and also less calories. There's the Golden Ale, and here's one from Milwaukee, River West Stein NA. And again, that's a German beer, amber beer. And then this one is Extended Play, Pale Near Beer. It was an NA, and I tried one of those. It's so weird. Every time I say it otherwise, I would say, yeah, I had to try that. People go like, yeah, right. But it's like, yeah. And this one,
you're selling it, so you should try it.
So I tried, I got 2 cases of this. It was supposed to come in cans, but it doesn't yet. It hasn't come yet. But I got it, and I sat here for a while, and I tried it, and I thought, did I get the wrong kind? Did I get the alcohol kind? This fooled me. I've even fooled other Irishmen, but this is a Weizen. It's German, and it's a kind of beer that I used to get here. But it is very, very palatable. I mean, I hate to say that it's just great, but let's just put it this way. I was drinking it, sitting outside in the sunset, and I forgot it didn't have alcohol in it. And it's before the flavor was so much different that you just couldn't do it.
Oh, yeah.
But now, not so much. So we're starting to do a larger collection. Now the reason this whole thing isn't full is because I've tried a lot of them and they weren't that good. But I'm starting over with a list so that when I get it figured out, I've talked to some of the distributors and so forth, but I'd like to do an NA Fest so that everybody can get a try. But if you come into Ocooch Books with a couple of people, I'll open a beer and we'll give you a tasting right now. Anytime you come by, just request trying an NA. I'm not going to let you try all of them because I've run out of beer. But you can choose, these are a little more pricey. These are $3.33, but the rest of them are $2 a can, so it's good advertising for me, just for you to come in and try some of that NA you're going on about. This one from Sam Adams was one of the better ones, and it's a hazy IPA. And now I'm told by some of the ones who started off on liking that that's one of the better IPAs. But they're now claiming that some of the ones that I had first, which they have upped their game, this is the difference. The people will say, "Oh, that's awful beer," or "That's not any good," or whatever. Science. I call it the Blandex effect. Blandex. So you get those pieces of chipboard and put them on your doghouse, and it fell apart during the winter. Now, this is my general contractor speaking, but now chipboard, as they call it, or OSB, oriented strand chipboard, is stronger than plywood. So things get better. The NA beers were kind of a write-off for quite a while. But now they're very common. They're all over the place, and I think people are getting used to them. So stop by Ocooch Books and Libations and try one on me. I'd hope you'd share it with somebody else. Come in with a couple of people, because otherwise I'll run out too fast. I've got some more just came in. Santa Claus was here while I was gone, and this one's from Athletic. Athletic is all NA. That's all they make is non-alcoholic beer. But they've been at it long enough that they've really kind of got their every place. I don't know who's distributing them, whether it's Budweiser or somebody.
But where is that made?
Well, let's see. No, this is made in the USA. Well, there's a start.
Yeah.
Let's see. This one is made. They don't want to tell you.
What's up? No. Wow.
USA. So basically.
Oh, Milford, Connecticut?
Yeah, and San Diego, California. But think of what they're doing is they might be having it made other places. Like many craft brews are now made by not their own brewery because they can't make enough at one time. So they have other larger breweries, not huge breweries, but other larger breweries. There's another one, Mexican style copper. And again, anything by Athletic is also NA. There's another one by Potosi that I haven't gotten yet, and it's, I think they ran out of it. It's Oktoberfest NA. I'm expecting it in any time.
Well, when you first moved into this location, I think they were making the transition from bottle or glass to can.
Yeah, I'd already gone over to, during the pandemic, the window over at the old store, I had it lined all the way around both windows with cans. Well, actually, bottles of wine in one and cans in the other, but it went all the way across the glass and so forth. So just over about a 5-year period, as I predicted, everybody went to cans. There are very few beers that are now in bottles. One of the reasons is that when you ship, now this isn't really a long neck, but you can see the difference in height. But if you stack 2 cans, and this was the old long neck style, 2 cans are weight-wise are almost the same as the glass and the beer. So it's for shipping's sake, you don't have to worry about glass breakage.
Glass is quite heavy.
And you don't have to, and these, the crush value
They're
on
like
this,
Legos, they just kind of stick together.
but if you've got them in a pack like this and you stack those in cardboard flats, then you've taken a lot of the weight out of the process. And so cans, people will say, oh, I want my bottle.
Yeah, I know.
They do.
Well,
I'm not going into why, but anyway.
Well,
So
if you drop a bottle, it's a mess.
it is, and so you just breakage alone, there's probably saving millions per brewery. So what I'm doing in here, if things look odd, I finally got the cooler rearranged so that it's about as many beers as I'm going to have at one time. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 30, about 40 to 45 different beers at one time. Now that's pretty good, but at one time I had 150. And that was too much because they weren't selling it fast enough to not have some go funky.
Right.
But actually I find that beer in cans doesn't go funky, but if places like New Glarus want to come around or that's Central Waters, you know, what they do is they adhere to it just like it was in glass. In glass you've got the cap that air can get through and the glass that the light can get through. And that wrecks your, well, a very good example was Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, the standard, the flagship of all craft beers, practically. Red Hook in Washington, in Seattle, that was the first IPA, and this was the first really good pale ale. I remember in high school, Ballantine Pale Ale, I tried it. It was awful. The reason it was awful because nobody knew how to take care of it. Had a clear bottle, and And it was pale ale. Of course, they put it in the sun where the sun could hit it, and it was in a bottle, and it really was bad. It might have been good from where it started off. Ballantine might have been somewhere in Europe. But when they finally get around to a good pale ale, it was Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, and it still is one of the biggest out there. But I like getting back to the beginnings of it. So these are pale ales and IPAs. These are a mix of everything, and we have local Wisconsin and even European beers here. These are stouts down here and a couple of oddball Hillsborough beers. But these are stouts that I picked out. Now these are lower alcohol and lower calorie beers, and these are full on and give it the go, everything, and stand a pencil up in it. Now, but it's like a bottle of wine. If you go into a bar and order one of these, but this is $5.69, and it's barrel aged, which means it was in a bourbon barrel, and it's an imperial stout. Now, this is again from Sierra Nevada, the same company, but this you can actually age in the can. You can put it and it will change. This is 11.9%.
Wow.
So, like I say, this is one that you nurse. Like I take one of these in my kayak, and I have it for 2 hours. Starts off cold,
Yeah.
crisp, good, and since it's been sitting down there in the heat, you know, for all that time, got dessert when you get out, but that's plenty for just a 2. So I think the way people drink craft brews has taught people to drink less, and because it's rich, it's strong. Most of these are under 5%. But some of them, they'll even go down to like 3.5% if you're looking for that kind of thing. And those are the kind where they're more like the old Miller High Life and so forth. But you think that they don't, these are all, everybody thinks that everything is IPAs and things like that. Here's a Scrimshaw from California. It's been around for 30 years, and it's a Pilsner. And a Pilsner is what Miller High Life is supposed to be. Except for they, of course, clear bottles, they don't take care of it, etc. This is the perfect package, and it's a perfect Pilsner. And here's one from Madison. And again, it's a perfect, well-made Pilsner. Now here's one from Europe here, Kronbacher, and let's see, you got another one over here. And this one's not expensive. It's a premium Pilsner. And it's really kind of nice. It's rather than a craft brew. So I guess at one time everything was craft brew. So there's lower alcohol, higher alcohol, whatever. But you know, generally speaking, I get filled up on these kind of beers too. So it's not like Busch Light. It's not like some of those things that come in 30 packs and apparently people binge down. This is a different kind of store.
Right.
This is quality over quantity, plus. Sweet wines. I've moved some of my wine racks and I'm trying to get them consolidated. These are probably going back to their owners. But I'm going to fit everything into this niche here. So I'll be able to pull a curtain across here. Well, I may just put cameras on it or whatever, so that it doesn't make some kid think, you know, there's a good place I can run in and get something and run back out while everybody else is doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, if the cafe ever gets opened up, there'll be too much something else to watch everything. All of this, let's call it what it is, it's booze. All of the high octane stuff like this, we sold it for years. We used to have single malt scotches that cost $80 to $200. But it's just not worth worrying about anymore because let's face it, this is heavy duty stuff. The only reason we ever got that big a bottle was a mistake in an order, and they made good on it. I got stuck with the big bottles, but I got 1 or 2 or 3 of those left, and but I've got a little bit of everything, and everything is 20% off, just like hardcover books. So these are some rye and brandy and bourbon that you take 20% off. I guarantee you that was my cost. It was right about there. Anyway, there's a little bit of everything left there, and I hope to be done with that by the, well, before the holidays, so that I have space for holiday things. I may do something as strong as a liqueur, but you know, they're still not, they're not anything like booze. You know, it's something you make a schnapps,
Right.
things like that. Not schnapps. What am I thinking of? The stuff at Christmas, mint.
Well, there's there's
Peppermint.
cream de menthe.
Cream de menthe. Cream de menthe.
Yeah, that in
Well,
small amounts.
You know what I mean. It's that seasonal stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the trouble is that we're a bookstore and a record store, and probably next to all of that would be wine. Wine, if it wasn't for the beer people who wanting something for the people at the farm they're going up to camp or whatever, I got the NAs for them, I got the regular beers for them, and we have all the best red wine selection that I can come up with. And it rotates. And so as I downsize, I'm also getting rid of the overall high octane stuff. So no more whiskey, no more gin, no more, my God, I've got, talk about hard to find. You know where this is from? Looks like Russian, but it's not.
Oh yeah,
So
it's
this is from Ukraine. Product of Ukraine, and you can't get this. But I'm not jumping up the price. First come, first served. But commemorative of the time during the war when they had to shut down the factory, or the whatever you call it, the distillery when it's vodka. So let's move on. So the white wines seem in this area around here. Birds are singing. The red wines seem to just be more popular now. Now, back in the early 2000s, we sold equal amounts, if not more, of the white wines, and these are Rieslings. Are a little bit sweeter for people, a little bit of Pinot Grigio, a little bit sweeter, but I wouldn't even call them sweet. They're just less dry. And the same thing is with Gewürztraminers, and people perceive the Sauvignon Blanc as not as dry as the Chardonnay or vice versa, and that's just not true. It's just on the tongue and the nose and so forth. So more Chardonnays. And left bank out of Madison, they're actually over more on Highway 51. And they are an importer, been around for a long time. I've known people who work for them. I've had several different sales reps from them. But they have their own vineyards and they buy directly from France. So it's nice to have Bordeaux's through people who know what they're doing. And again, I try to keep the same mix. I've got Malbecs, and I've got, this is a Merlot, but it's also a organic. You'll see North Coast 2019 Organic Merlot. They age better than the whites do. The whites don't age well. The rosés, people like to drink them fresh, but I tell you the truth, I don't see a lot of difference for a couple of years old. So right now I'm rotating out the 2002s and 2003s, and bringing in the 2023s, and so nothing here is more than a couple of years old, and especially in the rosés. We also have a lower octane beer. Now Vino Verde is just a light wine, and just about every country makes it. This one is from Spain, and there's another one here from Portugal. You're getting more Portuguese wines. We have some new, what are they calling this one? Hammer Smash Meadery, so I guess it's mead. Bottle and meadery at the Bose Meadery, Madison, Wisconsin. 500 mil, so that's sweet.
Very romantic name.
Yeah, I say it's sweet. But anyway, I'm trying to shop local here. Let's see, where are these guys from? Bottled and produced in Mount Horeb.
Well, trolls. What do you
Yeah,
know?
troll. What did you think?
Yeah.
I always think of mead as something you make out of honey or so forth and flowers. So I guess that's a perfect example. I don't know why they're. There's the honey.
There's
anyway,
the troll.
And there's the troll, Mount Horeb.
It seems like at Christmas time, people tend to be talking about it's a red wine, and I don't even know if it's Cabernet, but it's got chocolate in it.
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of those things. As a matter of fact, there are wines that were historically made with chocolate, with the beans and so forth. But it's just like in a lot of things. The base inside them, the thing that they get made out of, like the stouts we were talking about, Old Rasputin Stout, Imperial Stout, it could even be, they just don't tell you, a coffee stout. A lot of people say, oh, I don't want flavor. It's not flavoring, it's the base they make it.
Okay.
The thing that gives its riches. Just like if you were to say with a stout, oh yeah, well that's a peat. You know, peat, like the stuff you dig out of the ground. This one's got a lot of peat in it. It's like, well, I don't want dirt.
No.
It's the smoke that comes from the peat burning that gives you the flavor. So right now I'm working on getting all of this off this wall. I love the way this looks. I love having it over here. But quite frankly, when we started Ocooch Books and Libations, people would come in for, I don't know, maybe a couple of years before they even realized we had the wine in the back of the old store.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are checking out, they look around, they go, oh! And then they'll say the stupid books and booze thing, you know, but scream at them. But we call it Libations on purpose. This was, the idea was, this is a temperance town. This is, you know, there's supposedly a dry town until 1986 when I moved back here. And I shouldn't say that.
No, it's like because you moved back
Yeah,
or what?
immediately. I get the blame anyway.
It's coincidental.
Yeah, I hope so. But, so, we've been doing this for 21 years. And I think I've gotten better at it. And I try to keep the prices in the middle, upper grocery line price. So, right now, the most expensive bottle we have in the store is $24, and we've had them in the past that were as much as $80 bottles of wine, and sometimes a little higher than that. But almost everything here is between $15 and $20. That not a lot of markup, and some of these things you'll find just about any better grocery. But that'll be the $20 bottle, and they probably freak out when it gets over 17 or something like that. Oh my God!
Well, I listen to enough public radio to know that there'd be a special about wineries, and they say you don't have to spend a ton of money on wine. You can spend $20, and it could be excellent.
Well, these are all from well, not this one. This one's from California. Think of that, you know. Of course it's from California. Or Oregon.
I think people get intimidated because, I mean, it's fermented fruit juice, basically.
It is that. Okay, this is a 2018, and this one is from Italy, but it is actually from Sicily. And this one is Tuscany, and this one is Primavito's from down in what part of Italy is this from? Anyway, I think it's the south. I tell you, I'd have to get out my map, but
I haven't been there lately.
yeah, I would like to be there right now. You know, there's a place called Castle Fadardi, which is the home of all accordions. And if you go there, it's accordion music all the time in the streets. I've always wanted to go.
Really?
Yeah.
You're attracted to accordions?
Yeah, well, I like accordion music, but it's cool when it's gypsy music and, things like that. But
Are these old-fashioned squeeze boxes or the?
No, they.
Or the Lawrence Welk?
The company Hohner.
Yes, oh yeah.
Okay, well, that's where that owner started.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So this is, but it has such a great name, Castle Fidardi, and it's on the
Yeah.
Baltic. And it's just, you know, where Rome is, if you just go across Italy, straight across, it's on the Baltic Sea. And I just like the fact that a place is a place where everybody who plays an accordion has to go at some time. It's the mecca of accordion players. And I don't think they like the German style. I've gone online and looked at Castle Fidardi, and most of these people are like more like gypsies, and not a lot of oompa.
Well, no, and I think the accordion players are real snobs from you, you know.
Well, there's a
from what
lot of accordions, and there's, like you say, the squeeze boxes and things like that.
Yeah.
I like those because they're pirates would have those.
Yeah.
And they push them together, put the straps around, put them inside their coat, and then after they murder a whole bunch of people, then they can say,
Right, I know, they had a place in Hollywood for years.
So I think all of these Chiantis here, this was from Italy, and this one is from Italy, and this one is from California. You can tell again, see, it just jumps right out there. 2019 Mendocino Organic Sangiovese. And one of these days I'm gonna know.
I like them, almost like you can feel the...
Yeah, it's, you know, sometimes I wonder how these people even come up with new labels. These aren't half bad. These are a real solid upper end grocery, you know, line that I found were good for everything. Bamfi has low end to high end wines from all of this one's from Paso Robles, California. And J. Lore is everywhere. You see it everywhere. I know exactly which ones that Walmart has because I look them up. So I don't have those. But sometimes places like groceries like that have the better of the wines as their better wine. And so a lot of these are from Austria. This one is from California. This one is from Argentina. This one is from California also. It's Valdegui, or I think I'm saying that right. So, but it's a wildflower. It's an odd grape that they decided to make something of, and they even advertise it. You can put ice in this. Just don't let anybody see you.
Right, yeah, I know.
This is one of the when I started really liking red wines, dry red wines. When I really started liking, Malbecs drew me a lot, and they were mostly from Spain at that time, but now for a long time South America is just doing it big time. And this got 90 points, and it's from a red, you know, a top of the line wine tester, and quite frankly, both of these Malbecs are excellent. And they're not even that pricey. This one's 20 bucks and this one's $17. But I got a lot of the reason I'm still getting those is because I got a lot of return business. People keep coming for it. A lot of Portuguese wines these days. I know that sounds redundant, but it's not the Portuguese wine that you drank in high school. Tempranillo. And this one is, again, see the sheep motif on here. It seems like Portugal is trying to pick up on the sheep thing. See these merino sheep? We have those around here, and matter of fact, I may have even raised some at one time. But it's a nice motif, but the wine is excellent. This is very much a crowd pleaser. Berry finish, not too bitey dry, but at the same time a truly dry wine. Again, another one from Portugal, Portuguese, and again, and they're doing the sheep thing, except for this one's got birds. Anyway, these are all Bordeaux's down here, and Bordeaux's just mean from that region of France, and then these are blends. The blends are, this one's Merlot Cab and Sauvignon. Cabernet Sauvignon, and same thing here, and pretty much the same thing there. This one's more on the Cab side. No, Merlot. And this one is more on the, this one's the one that's more on the cab side. Anyway, that's a tour of our massive inventory. This is relatively new. And don't ask me to say its name in French. Want to try?
What is
Les Haltes de la.
Yeah, that sounded very
Did I
good.
get it?
Maurice Chevalier would be proud.
Oh, yes.
Has the White Zen train finally left town?
Well, the white Zen thing never really was. That was pink Zen. And that was Carlo Rossi came up with that. Well, he had all this wine and was like, got a little bit of this Zen Fidel that is red wine, and I got these other things. Let's just pour them together and make them the same color and make sure they're sweet.
Or add Sprite to it. And I know.
Just horrible. This is the last of the of these, for instance. Oh, I don't know. See, these are really sherries. This is a everybody's seen a Savory and James sherry, a cask of Amontillado.
Oh yeah.
See, I said that right.
Yeah.
Anyway, somebody, if you can keep this on the back of your counter and only splash it anytime you are doing something that you could splash it in,
Yeah.
I would be surprised, because once you get used to its bitter kind of sherry Agatha Christie flavor.
Edgar Allan Poe.
Yes.
Okay.
Cask of Amontillado. Yes,
Yeah.
we already went there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I will hang on to that. And I will probably hang on to the lower octane things like, I don't know, sherries. This is a...
Oh, that's rum, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, this is... Oh, I was looking over here.
Oh.
This is rainwater Madeira. Comes from the island of Madeira, right off of Portugal. And these, kind of a politically incorrect plantation artisanal run. But they seem to be, when I ordered them originally, I got a whole bunch of it at once, like about $2,000 worth. And I'm just running out of that now, how many years later. But the deal was the deal. You know, I could get the price down there and I could just stack them away because it's rum. It's not going to change. No. And so that's about where I'm at with those. We used to have several Madeira, and I like the dust on them because I don't want to rub it off. It's like, but you know the these are still with the kind of sherry that you would expect, your grandmother and so forth. Well, actually, turns out more men like Madeira than women.
Oh.
And it's this thing because they could drink it and not get potched. But a lot of these places, the reason they drank any alcohol at all was because their water was bad.
Yes, that's
and
true.
They, what is it? The British Magna Carta. I believe that's where the laws of the sea, and if you couldn't go off the dock if there wasn't enough rum and so forth to put with the water for the sailors. Because no matter what you did, brought water on board, it's hot, it's going to get bad, and it's the only way you're going to be able to get water, can't do it from the sea, so you get so much grog a day. And grog would be like very rich, like stouts, like these stouts, heavy duty stouts, because you get calories from it, and also you wouldn't die from it because it wouldn't be poisoned because of the alcohol. So alcohol had a medicinal thing. Rum, gin, India Pale Ale. Put a lot of hops into your pale ale, and it's palatable, in any temperature. My God, just to think about it, IPA, the room temperature sounds terrible. But if you're at sea and you don't want to die,
yeah.
Give me that grog.
Right.
Put some more hops in it. You get used to anything. So that's what's happening with the wine section over here. Don't worry, it's not going away. I'm clearing out space, moving things around, and hoping to get a little more space for the beer. But I've just got to hold back and try to just one side of this maybe it be NA and the other side alcohol. And I'll have to get another refrigerator for the wine if I'm going to have any cool.
What are your hours here?
10 till 6. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sunday for 3 hours in the morning. You're going to have to check the door. But you can always call, and Ocooch Books and Libations, downtown Richland Center.
All
Stop
right.
by and
Thank
have
you.
a free tasting of non-alcoholic beer.
Well, we move along towards the end of September and the beginning of October, things are coming up. The Canyon of Lights Parade, the UW Richland Alumni Homecoming Brunch, and of course it's not too soon to think about autumn and Halloween and all of those activities that come up in October. And we hope you'll come back next week and every week to watch our town.